Oh yeah, that was.
So you're saying no one's watching my Raptors get smoked by the Grizz?
Oh,
hey, no, hey, hold on. Hey, no, L host. We're not late.
Wow.
We're not
No,
late.
not.
That's not on us.
We were giving love to the college football show, college football gridiron, hosted by the funniest guy on Player's Choice, Bama. You know how Bama do. You know how Bama do. Nick Dawson's on that. That's a good panel right there. If you want to know anything about college football, or if you think you know anything about college football, you need to check out College Football Gridiron. Mm-hmm. That's a show right there. What's up, y'all?
Oh man, what's up, you guys?
Who you texting?
How's everybody doing?
Who you texting?
Me?
They know texting.
No, me. Yeah, you. We're talking about you.
8:45
I'm off my game, you guys.
There's no texting between 8:45 and 11:15 Eastern.
Yeah,
focus.
Phones down.
Focus.
This is how it is at the dinner table.
Focus, mama.
No, I'm here. I'm pulling up the chat. So
focus, man. Time to holler at me, man.
Uh-huh.
I love that FIFA boy said, "Hurry up, old head fluent."
You know what?
Let him know.
You know, if old head means knows his shit, which is how I'm taking it, I'm cool being an old head.
All right.
I want to get to the bottom of this goofy bias that they say I have.
You do have
one?
a bias. Yeah, you have a couple of biases.
I don't have.
We all have biases.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Maturing is admitting your biases. You absolutely have them.
Here's the question. If I have a bias, what exactly is my bias? First of all, we got to get to the bottom of what exactly does bias mean. Number one, it means to prejudge. Well, I'm not prejudging anything. I already seen it all. So I'm not prejudging anything. So let's start there. Number two, it means to unfairly give an advantage. I'm not giving an unfair advantage. The stuff that I'm talking about, I support what I say with facts. I'm not just making stuff up. I'm supporting what I'm talking about with facts.
But facts sometimes are misconstrued with opinion. And in a lot of cases, when you're saying a fact, it is your opinion that fact or stat should make everybody believe this. But if you look at that stat or fact differently, you won't. And when I say biased, I mean a predetermined disposition to choose one thing over another. Because that's
predetermined.
Yes, because that's predetermined. Because that's also a bias. So, for example, if there's a tie, I'll use the example of my bias. If there's a tie between a Laker and a Celtic,
we already know what time it is.
It's going to a Laker.
Right,
as an example, that's a bias that I am aware of, and so some are you're aware of, some are subconscious, and you're not even aware of.
Right.
Like you grow. I think the old head thing. People will say, "Well, you grew up in a certain time." So if there's a player who's tougher versus a player who's more finesse, you may choose, even unconsciously, to side with that player over the finesse player. As another example, that's all.
Like I might like Michael Cage over Bobby Portis as a dirty word guy.
There you go.
Jay, what was the topic? What's the bias that you're referring to?
My top 10, or not just my top 10. It's more I prefer old school basketball, which is not true, right? Because I don't just watch basketball from the 80s or from the 70s or from the 90s. I'm very in tune with basketball, what's going on today. I'm a tone to tell you this. I'm a huge Jason Tatum fan. I love that dude, right? So I'm very in tune to what's going on today, as opposed to I don't pay attention to any of these guys. I don't care about what they're doing. All I care about is telling everybody about what was going on in the 80s and the 90s. I'm not doing that. No, I'm up to date.
All right, let me ask you a question. What is it about Jason Tatum's game that you like so much?
Well, number one, I just dig the fact that he's gotten better. As the athlete that he is, who he reminds me of. Who he reminds me of? He reminds me of a slightly less athletic version of Tracy McGrady, except he's more skilled and a defender. That's who he reminds me of. And in terms of health, that's when I watch him, he reminds me of that's who Tracy McGrady should have been.
Okay. I feel like I compared him to someone and it was really good, and then I forgot who it was. But oh well. We got some stuff to talk about. Anywhere in particular y'all want to start?
Yeah, no. I mean, off that chill, I think that you know, everyone has biases, but you know what I think is interesting? Fluent, I've heard you tell Dub this before, and you know, it's facts that in 20 years and 30 years, like we're gonna be seeing, or like my generation and under are gonna be seeing things differently, you know? So it comes with age and maturity, and I think that all comes into play later on sometimes. But I mean, we're all biased.
It's a tale as old as time, and the fact that we didn't listen to it 20 years ago, y'all aren't listening to it today. The people that were 20, 60 years ago didn't listen to it. It happens over and over and over again, and it's so funny because I have a brother who's 10 years older, and he would always say, "You watch, when you hit this age, this is going to change in your mindset." And I'm like, "You crazy old man, you crazy old man," because he kind of really raised me a little bit, right? And so he's like, you watch, you crazy old man. 10 years go by. I'm like, damn it. He's like, was I right? I'm like, no. But in my head, I'm like, damn, he was right.
I told you so. Yeah. It always comes back to haunt you.
It's gonna happen to you, H. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen to you, H. In 25 years, your son is gonna tell you that Papa would have kicked Steph Curry's ass, and you're gonna take the keys to the house. And you're going to tell him that he can't live there no more.
Get out.
Steph Curry, didn't he win a championship with a podcaster?
That's what he's going to tell you. And you're going to want to run. You're going to want to run him over with the car. I'm telling you that right now. You're not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah,
right?
No, I know. I know. And that's, I think that's the fun part of it, though, like the debating aspect of the various generations. Like that brings new perspectives into it, you know. But yeah, you guys in the chat, we'll get into the duos. We're gonna save that maybe for the next thing. But I want to give credit to Luka Doncic, man. Like, okay,
did he do something?
He did do something.
He
did something. You might have heard about it. But I want to get your perspectives because I've heard both sides. I've heard some people who say they're not really, I mean, yes, it was impressive. But you know, 60, 21, 10. Triple-double is impressive. I've heard other people saying like this is on their Mount Rushmore of the best regular season games they've ever seen. You've heard both perspectives. So I mean, yeah. Jay, what did you think about that? If you watched the game, obviously, you know, I think they were down 9 with like 35 seconds left to go in the game. Came back and did what he did. At 23 years old, like Luka. Whether or not you like Luka, dislike Luka, JD, if you're in the chat, we know how you feel. But yeah, was this on the more impressive side to you, Jay, or are you kind of like this is just another day in the current NBA? We're seeing people drop 60 on the regular, you know. Well,
to give you some context, Embiid went almost 50 and 10, and we didn't even talk about it.
Exactly.
It just went right over everybody else's head. Nobody even said anything about that. So we live in an age where everything is right now. And not only is it instant, there's the instant reaction to it as well. So Luka goes 60, 20, and 10. Luka's the best player ever. Luka's going to be, at the end of his career, he's going to be top 5 all time. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks had one of the biggest blunders in NBA history that nobody talks about. I mean, they were again. Tone, let's make sure we cannot understate that, Tone. We're talking about a team that was up 3 possessions with 44 seconds. We got enough points to win. All we have to do is make free throws, and the game is over. That's it. Not only do they not make free throws, Luka goes for 25 in the fourth quarter. 25 points. They can't do anything. Not only that, which is even worse for me, the fundamental part of the game, which they completely botched, which is blocking out on free throws. That's not difficult to do. We learned that in the 8th grade. They did not do that. So a lot of the stuff that Luka did, don't get me wrong, Luka is, in terms of an offensive player, I can't name 3 offensive players in the game today that are better than him offensively, with his ability to score, his ability to distribute, his ability to get to the basket, his ability to finish. I can't name not just scoring, just overall playmaking and things like that with Luka. I'm not sure that I can name that many offensive players better than him. But I want to make sure that we clear that what Luka is doing, it's not that it's not unprecedented. It's just we live in an age where this stuff kind of gets swept underneath the rug. Like next week, we're going to be talking about something completely different. and what Luka did won't be nearly as big a deal as it should be. Just like I just told you, Embiid went almost 50-10, and we didn't scoff at that. Like, a guy goes 50-10, that should be headline news. Nobody even said a word about it. So I don't want to discount what Luka did, because again, Tone, I think he's absolutely awesome on the offensive side of the basketball. But I want to give you a quick tidbit, just so you know.
Can I give my opinion first, or no?
Yeah,
you just take over?
No, real quick, Tone.
This is a chill show, yeah.
I just want to let you know, Tone, that Luka, and not Luka, I'm sorry, Chamberlain.
Well,
he has.
Don't steal my thunder now.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna leave it alone, and I'm gonna let you go.
Don't steal my thunder.
I'm not gonna steal your thunder, Tone. I think what Luka did was fantastic, no doubt about that, and I think that he's definitely one of the best players in the game, no doubt.
Anyways,
let's start with the good. Let's start with the good. Okay, in the history of the NBA,
the 75-year history of the NBA,
75-year history of the NBA, no one has ever gone 60-20-10.
Not one time.
Never.
Ever.
So is it a big deal? Absolutely. It's a huge deal, because when you're the first person to do something ever in the history of the NBA at this point, that needs to be applauded and recognized. So when people say, damn, if Luka has the ability to do that in a game where they were out of it, and hey, you give the blame and the credit, right? Blame the Knicks for another choke job. But at the same time, he was, hey, if I'm giving Reggie Miller the credit for this, and I wish Luka would have done one of those. I'm giving Luka the praise as well. So being the only person to ever go 60-20-10, when you see a player do something like that, you say, wow. You have to say, wow. If he can put up stats like that, look, it's never going to be consistent. But if he can put up stats like that, that's incredible. Like, that's phenomenal. We should talk about it. We should talk about a 50-10 from Embiid. Like, even if when people are saying, but, the scoring's up and da-da-da-da-da. Sure. But there have been other eras that scored this much, that were fast-paced like this, and guys weren't doing it. So kudos to Luka. Give him all the respect in the world.
Sure.
That being said, I know this is where you're going to go, and I had it handy. So I'm going to give you 3 stat lines and then something. Okay, here are my 3 stat lines I'm going to give you. 61, 28, and 6. 73 and 36. 100, 25 and 2.
Yeah.
There's been some phenomenal stat lines. And all of those, of course, Wilt Chamberlain, who went 60-20 or more 25 times. The only other people to go 60-20, Luka once, Shaq once. That's the list.
Yeah.
So impressive for Luka. You put yourself in the list of Shaq, Chamberlain, and you as a guard with 2 centers.
Big time.
Wow, that actually makes it more impressive. Gabe is correct. SSJ Gabe, the 100-point game didn't really happen, but we're talking mythology.
According to Tone, them stats that he just read,
they're all made up. They're all made up.
The stats that he just read off, those don't even exist, because the dude that he talking about, that dude doesn't exist.
No.
But the fact that some disciple put them in this fictitious Bible of the NBA, hey, I'm gonna read them out to you. So the fact that he did it 25 times is like, we sweep that under the rug. Like, the fact that people want to say, well, it was a different era. They were playing against plumbers and there was only 6 teams in the NBA. Well, you know what? That means he was going up against the best centers every single night. Could you imagine if there's only 6 teams in the NBA right now, how stacked it would be each team?
Sure.
Even though there's more talent, there's 6 teams, 8 teams. Yeah. So you can make any excuse you want. That's insane to do it 25 times in any era. So again, that just goes again to what I'm saying about Luka needs to be applauded, because the fact that he added in the 10 assists to that in a game that they came back from what seemed to be insurmountable odds to win. We're not going to see that again. We're not going to see it again.
It's just that whenever I see stuff like this, I immediately think about Chamberlain. Immediately, I think about Chamberlain, and it kind of sucks the air out.
Elgin Baylor did it once too. How could I forget? Elgin Baylor also did it once.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I just immediately think about Chamberlain, because anything that somebody does that's as substantial as that, I'm sure Chamberlain did it probably 10 times at least. So, like, you're talking about Luka going 60, 20, and 10, right? One time. Chamberlain got 14 games where he went 50 plus, 20 plus, and 5 assists. He got 14 games where he did that. Like, and we
do it in his sleep.
Right. So you got a bunch of people that'll say, well, he was playing against plumbers. And whenever I hear that logic tone, the first thing I think about is that's a testament to those guys. You know why? Because I'm 20 and 11 and I got a day job. Like, I'm selling cars in the off season, right? I'm working at the restaurant. I'm working at the hotel as a baggage handler, right? I'm doing that in the off season. So imagine if all I had to do was concentrate on this, how much better I would be. So whenever I hear people say this was the plumber era, I'm thinking, yo, that's a testament to those guys, because if they were able to play round the clock like these dudes today, how much more awesome would they have been?
Yeah.
Well, no, we can't talk about that because that goes against the narrative. So my whole point of that was when you're in, and sorry, I'm shocked and appalled at myself that I forgot about Elgin Baylor. If you're on a list,
guy, by the way,
my guy,
guy, by the way.
Come on,
I know. So Shaq, I'll notice everybody on that list has been a Laker at one point in their career. I wonder, Luka.
No.
We'll give you LeBron and AD for Luka.
No.
He did just sign an extension, so he's going to be there for a little while.
That's too bad.
We do know that he's going to be there for a little while.
Well, that's why everybody's saying he's like the next LeBron, because he's going to waste a good part of his career.
But you also got to,
I have more faith. I don't know. I like the Mavs. I think they might be able to figure something out.
You also got a dude who's on a team with his second best player doesn't start.
Yeah.
His second best player.
How crazy is that?
I know, that's nuts. His second best player doesn't start. Not only does his second best player not start, but his starting two guard, right? Not his backcourt. I think it's not Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie starts, but Finney Smith and the other Bullock. Finney Smith and Bullock. Those two guys on average give him about 10 points a game. Not each, Tone. I'm talking about total. Those two guys. So, I mean, I don't really know how far we're going to get if we're only getting that much from those guys. Now, if I expect, if they only have those guys to be specialists, like Bullock is a D&3 guy, and he's going to be there to just slow somebody else down. All right, I can appreciate that. But that means that Luka's 34 during the regular season, it's going to have to go up to like 38 in the playoffs in order for them to win. And is that sustainable? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I've said it before. That is going to destroy the narrative. And honestly, because listen, that's why you're hearing he's James Harden. Well, it's because he's not going to win in the playoffs. Well, he's not going to win in the playoffs because he doesn't have anybody to play with. Harden, at least they tried, right? Most of them failed, but they tried. They brought in Chris Paul. They brought in Dwight Howard. They brought, he played with people. They tried. I don't think Dallas is trying. That's my only issue. I don't feel like Dallas is trying to put people around him. Like, you knew year one you had something special. Take advantage of it, man. Like, right away. Don't wait. Like that part. But Dallas, again, I've said historically, what did they put around Dirk?
Yeah.
Right. It was patchwork. Right. It was an old Jason Kidd, a very specialized defensive player in Tyson Chandler. Jason Terry. It was not good players. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It was patchwork, and that's why he only got the one. I think Dirk was capable of getting more.
And to just let Steve Nash walk out the front door like that, and not get anything for him, and they were that unit that they built around. Because remember, they did go to the finals before 2011. I mean, they went to the finals and they had guys like Jerry Stackhouse and Josh Howard and Devin Harris, right? Eric Dampier. These are the dudes that are running with Dirk Nowitzki. So historically, they got one guy who's our main guy offensively. We got a bunch of other dirty work guys, but then we got a guy in like Stack who can score. We got a guy in Josh Howard who can also score. Devin Harris, who's a solid player, but I think we're in a different era where there's more elite offensive players. So that's kind of what you need in order to win. I think that that Dallas team in 2011, like we talk about the MVPs, Tone, with Joker being a league MVP as a 6th seed and with Russ being a MVP as a 6th seed, I think that Dallas team, I think that was an exception more than it was the rule.
I'm gonna flag this because I want to bring that up too. Sorry, there's just so much going on in the chat. I'm trying to kind of keep track of it all.
So
sorry, continue.
So when I think about that Dallas team, this is who they are historically. They're gonna get one guy, and that one guy is Luka. That one guy in the past was Dirk. Yeah. Right? They're gonna get one guy, and they're gonna build they're gonna put the necessary pieces around him in order for them to win, but they're not gonna put the pieces around him like they did back then. And it's hard. I think it's harder to do that today. And that's when you brought up they let Nash walk out the front door. I think back to the trade that the Raptors rejected of Vince Carter and a piece for Nash and Nowitzki, and they said no to it and instead did that horrible trade with the Nets. So I had a flashback, and that's where my mind was when you were saying the rest of that. Okay, you know what? Let's do a couple super chats. Yeah,
if that's cool. I think we all agreed. Luka, crazy. Here we go. Let's hit the super chats. Big Holmes, what up, Holmes? Fluent Chill, H Boogie. That's your name now. What up, though?
What up, though? That's Detroit in the house. Nice.
Andrew G says Mars Dub declared war against old heads.
Let's go.
Let's go, dude. When you bring in a knife to a gunfight, that's an easy war. Chris, most underrated NBA duo of all time.
The most underrated.
We're gonna get to our duo conversation, but let's pause here for a second. Most underrated duo of all time.
So when we think about a duo, Tone, we're only talking about two people. That means Jabbar and Magic are out because James Worthy was running with them.
No, but you could. They're not underrated though. People.
No, they're not underrated.
Them in your top 5 duos of all time.
We're not. They're not underrated.
Jay, who first comes to your mind when just in all of time when you think of two guys? You're like, man.
People don't talk about them nearly enough. Yeah. Isaiah and Joe Dumars. That's the first two dudes that I think about. Isaiah and Joe Dumars. They're the only backcourt in NBA history to win back-to-back Finals MVPs. No other backcourt has done that in NBA history. So we don't talk nearly enough about Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas as a duo.
LeBron and Wade are not underrated.
LeBron and Wade are not underrated.
No, they are not.
Get out of here.
No, they are not. No, they are not. So,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind when I think about.
I don't think this is the most underrated. I don't think this is the most underrated, but the first one that came to mind was probably Charles Barkley and Kevin Johnson, because I don't think anyone even talks about them ever.
Nobody talks about them,
and that might have been because they weren't together that long.
Right.
I'm trying to think of what are some other ones where there's some longevity. There's a lot of guys that I think are underrated. Like Drexler is underrated, but I don't think he really had
it's hard to come up with that number 2 though.
Dominique, you know, again, you know how I feel, very underrated. I don't think people, you know, Weston Baylor, as big of a names as those are, people don't talk about them as a duo that was putting up like 60 combined points.
Yeah,
they averaged 60 as a duo and made it to 8 NBA finals together, 7. It was, and no one talks about it.
And it was overshadowed too. It was overshadowed too. And the reason why it was overshadowed because the Celtics had a bomb squad. You could talk about Willis Reed and Walt Clyde Frazier as a duo, but that Knick team wasn't really comprised of just those two guys. That was a unit with the Busher, and that was a different unit right there. So when I think about an underrated duo, I mean, we don't talk about Oscar and Jabbar. We don't talk about Oscar and Jabbar as a duo, even though Oscar was on the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
As good as Oscar was, he was on the other side of it. But we don't really talk about Oscar and Jabbar as a duo.
How about like Kemp and Payton?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we can talk about Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. Those two. But when we say underrated, once again, Tone, we got to get to the bottom of where do you rate these guys? So where would Peyton and Kemp be in the all-time duo list? Are they a top 10 duo all time?
I don't think anybody has them top 10.
Right. So
I think that now, do they deserve to be top 10? That's the question mark.
Well, when you think about them, when you think about all-time great duos, Doc and Moses, Shaq and Kobe, Scotty and Michael, Stockton and Malone. Then it gets tricky. Yep, Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Jordan and Pippen, Shaq and Kobe, Stockton and Malone. Like I said, Isaiah and Joe D.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Miller and the Dutch Boy. It was Rick Smits, or Rick Smits. That was his name.
I don't know if they were a duo.
You guys, this is really off topic, but just because people keep saying Penny, Shaq and Penny.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember those commercials with the puppets?
Little Penny.
Little Penny.
Little Penny. Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah,
the one where they do the Kobe jumping over the car.
Yeah.
So funny.
Little Penny.
There's some good...
Listen, if Penny, Penny's in that conversation, not quite there, but Penny's in that conversation with T-Mac and Grant Hill and guys whose injuries cost us from seeing how good they actually could be. He was he's a 6'9" point guard with athleticism. Like he would have been
underrated. Because again, we got to figure out where these guys are rated.
Kobe and Gasol get underrated because of Kobe and Shaq?
Yes, no doubt about that.
People saying Gasol trash.
No, he's not, and that's nuts to me, Tone. That is nuts. And another one too is we don't talk about Stoudemire and Steve Nash. We don't talk about those two. But I don't know if they're underrated though. I'm not sure that they're underrated.
I saw a phenomenal performance actually just yesterday by an incredible duo, or a couple of days ago. They combined went for 60, 20, 10. It was Luka's right hand and Luka's left. They were fantastic.
How about
yes.
we'll get into the
We'll get into the best duo. We'll get into the best duo. So let me do the two more. There's two more super chats. Actually, there's one more super chat and one that I just wanted to bring up. All right, let's see. Nicest Films. I used to work for Nicest Films. It was in Van Nuys. Don't ask me what they made. Beal in 2020, 2021 was better than Booker, Mitchell, Levine, or Jalen Brown have ever been so far, but didn't ever have a respectable roster around him. Let's go true or false.
I don't know if
I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm going to say false, but I will say that year was big time for Beal. I mean, I think he didn't get enough credit, but at the same time, there hasn't been consistency when it comes to him. So, but he also hasn't had a good roster around him. So I don't know how much of that is his part, and then injuries. But Bradley Beal definitely, I don't know.
Well,
that's false, I think.
The first thing that we got to get to the bottom of is Beal was better than both Book, Mitchell, Levine, Jalen Brown. Well, I think Book was 30 a game, and then when Rush showed up, I think he was 30 a game again. What else does Beal do besides get buckets? I mean, Jalen Brown plays on the other side of the basketball. And not only does he play on the other side of the basketball, he's really good on the other side of the basketball. He's a borderline all-league defender. So the idea that Bradley Beal was that much better than him simply because he was buckets, I'm not buying that at all. Add that to the fact that Bradley Beal, who, again, I think he was 30 a game that season. Donovan Mitchell was on the number 1 seed Utah Jazz 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken, right after the bubble in the 2021 season. He led them in points. He was second in assists and third in rebounding on the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. So the idea that Bradley Beal was better than him, that's not true, because all Bradley Beal was buckets. That's it.
Well, let's go back to Nicest Films again, who says Beal averaged 30 back-to-back seasons, and everyone in the comments clowning like he's not shooting 53 from the field.
And again, we're talking about a guy just being primarily buckets,
but we like guys who are buckets.
We do like guys who are buckets, but don't.
Isn't that Donovan Mitchell? Isn't that Devin Booker? Isn't that Kevin Durant? Aren't those all guys just buckets?
It's not Jalen Brown, though. I can tell you that. And I don't think Zach LaVine is in this conversation, because Zach LaVine is a guy who just became, I mean, as good as Zach LaVine is.
He did say so far to give him.
I mean, as good as Zach LaVine is, I mean, Zach LaVine he was still coming off that ACL injury. I think that was 2 seasons, and he was getting himself back into form. So I think that's unfair to match those two together. But I don't think he was better than Jaylen Brown. No. Mm-mm.
All right. Well, there you have it. I'm going to bring this one up just quickly. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really have to do with what we're talking about, but why not? And then we'll go another topic, and then we'll do some more of the super chats. Yeah. Jordan Walker says, "Yo, Fluent." Anytime it's "Yo, Fluent," I pull it up. I know you be on Gridiron. Facts. Can you please tell them to stop saying throw ball? I think he means the NFL is the most complete team sport. Football, the real one, is by far the most complete sport, and hockey is second. I would agree that soccer is very much a team sport, but I think in terms of a big American sports, I think, you know, when we talk NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, like those are like, no, this is no disrespect to football. Football, when I say soccer, football is like the biggest game in the world. I agree. Beautiful game. It's a beautiful game. But when we're talking about the big kind of 3 or big 4 sports in North America, football is the most. It is the most team sport. Like, because there's 11 guys on the field, one guy can make a difference, but not as much as like in hockey. One guy is 20% of your people skating. It's basketball is 20% of the guys on the court, and one guy can take over a game. Harder to, it happens in football, but harder to do in a football game. So I think that's where it's you know, the most team sport is where that narrative comes from. But I would say yes. If you get deep into soccer, I'm sure you'll agree. Soccer is very much a team sport. I agree with that, though. Where do you want to go?
Let's jump into duos. So
you don't want me to do the eulogy, do you? You want me to say
that?
Yeah,
we got it. Yes, Fluent. Give us,
because I saw a post here. Mars and Dub are in the chat, and Dub says
I gotta take my glasses off for this one. Hold on.
Tomorrow on their show, Never Been in a Gym. They said they're waging war on old head media.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see what that's about. But where this is the Black Friday eulogy.
Okay.
Because I'm putting an end to it. And I've said this before. I said, remember right after I said to you, I bring it up the one time and I'm never bringing it up again. That's what I said. Remember? I believe my exact quote was, when I beat my 8-year-old in basketball, right? I don't brag about it. I don't brag about it because what's the point, right? Like, I might joke about it one time and then it's over. It's forgotten. But I get clips sent to me from that show, Never Been in a Gym. And then on Christmas, I go to support Player's Choice and I jump on and listen to the Christmas show. And the first thing I hear is Fluent. I'm like, I'm not even there. Why are you talking about me? Fluent said this and Fluent said that. So I want to put an end to this. I want to, because just for the record, me and Dub have no beef. Just FYI, he hates me, but I don't have those emotions, so I have no hate.
Oh, right, okay.
But I want to bring up the Black Friday thing first, because he's like, I go back and watch it, and I won. No, here's the thing: when you play a game, you need to understand the rules of that game. The rules of that game were: we were given 3 topics, we were to debate them, and the chat would vote. Because I'm smarter than most people, I don't care if Dub believes what my points are. I don't care if Ron, the host, believes what my points are. I don't care if Hailey or Chill believe what my points are. With all due respect, I don't care. Because my job is to convince the chat.
Yeah, we're not voting.
And I did that quite easily, which is why I won 3-0. But I also am a teacher, right? That's why I say fluent. And that's why I continually say, you know, my job is, you know, I want to teach people. I want to.
Now you're more fluent.
Make them more fluent. So I'm going to help Dub out, because there was 3 issues that Dub had with his arguments. 1, when we talked about Kareem versus Hakeem, it's the general consensus that Kareem is better than Hakeem all time. That's just the general consensus. My job was easy. All I had to do was tell people why Kareem is considered the best between the 2 of them.
Right.
To convince someone that Hakeem is better than Kareem, you have to go above and beyond. You have to make a really compelling argument. It's like trying to convince my parents God is not real. You're going to have a really hard time. Look, you better make a really good case for it.
Good luck with that.
That's easy pickings. What made it worse is you have a guy who wasn't alive to see either one of those guys play. Really hard to bring in the emotion and the feelings that those guys gave you when you didn't have any. So that one's out. The second one, I got to remember all the things. It was 2000s versus today. He picked the 2000s was the best era. I picked today. Doesn't he preach on every single show he's on that today's players have more skill, more talent, more athleticism, more left hand, this hand?
He admitted that, though.
That's his whole thing, is that today's players have everything better. And he brings up an era which he didn't watch again because he wasn't alive. How can he explain an era that he wasn't alive in? The lowest scoring era in the history of basketball. The era so bad, according to the NBA and people who were paying millions of dollars in TV revenue deals, that they had to literally change the rules to make it more entertaining. Well, that's a loss. Oh, but his big brother tried to come to his defense, except he get knocked the fuck out too, and say, well, when he brought up the big man, you shied away from it and you didn't say. We weren't having a debate. You know why I didn't shy away from it? My head wasn't spinning, as Dell would make you believe. I ignored it. Do you know why I ignored it?
Why, Tom?
Because it wasn't a point. The point was which era is better, not which had the best big men or the best guards or the best these or the best those. It was the era. So for me to even say anything about it would have validated the point he was trying to make, which was not a point. So we skipped past it. The last one. What's more important, production or skill? Well, we all agree. Even he agreed after I worked him on Cooper Kupp, because he was like, Cooper Kupp doesn't play the X. He doesn't go to the outside. And I said, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If I can stay in the slot and kill you with 5-yard slant routes and get the most receptions, the most yards, the most touchdowns, production's what matters. At the end of the day, we look who scored the most points, who had the most assists, who did it the most efficiently, who won the chips. All of those things were so easy. So what I would say to Dub is, if you're going to be in a game, any game, whether it's a debate or anything else, know the rules and play to win the game. Don't play to get your point across because no one cares about your point. Play to win the game. And that's the end of Black Friday. It's dead. You lost. Dub, Dell, let it go. So unless you're saying, hey, congratulations, I don't want to hear it anymore. I won. It's over.
Okay, well, beautiful. Yeah, I don't know, slap, but I don't know.
You want to applaud? You can applaud if you want.
You know what? So first off, I love that, and I agree. I think on two of the topics, it's been a while. My brain doesn't really function for very long, but two of those I think you won. I think he won one of them when I remember back, but. I'm a believer.
No offense, H Boogie. Don't care what you think. You weren't voting.
Yeah. I wasn't voting. It was all about the chat. Two, I'm not gonna say this. And three, I believe that we should
go back. And two,
what was that?
Two, say it.
I think. All right.
Say it.
I love you, Fluent. Love you so much. But I think. Oh man, I think that people who are smarter than a lot of other people don't have to say that. So if you're very confident in that, it shouldn't have to be said. Just saying. Also,
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Right. Okay.
And that's why I've never done it before, but it was a eulogy. And in a eulogy, you don't let things go without saying. Yeah. You say them. Fair because enough. That person's dead, right? So you have to get it out that one last time because it's never going to be spoken about again.
Well, maybe we should bring
always
Dub
tell you
back
people you
from
love them,
dead.
right? Because once they're gone, you can't tell them anymore.
But I feel like it would be so good. Mars is in the chat saying he has no part in this, but it would be really fun to have them both on and do a battle. I don't know what you guys think in the chat, but let's have an old head versus Mars.
Check this out. One, I have no problem doing that. I'll just
be here.
No problem doing that. But like, once you've knocked someone out, why do you want to beat them up again? You go on to bigger and better things. Like you don't put me up against rookies. Like it's not fair. It's not fair. Like why would I go play JV? I'm varsity, baby. Why would I do that? Makes no sense.
Well, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
All right, you want to do some super chats, or you want to get into the duos?
Chats.
All right, we got some super chats. I like this super chat because it's a little NFL.
Oh, sweet. Ooh. Sports PSP. Who is y'all NFL MVP? Fluent, you go first. It's tough for you.
It's tough because I kept for most of the season. I was really big on Tua got hurt and Tyreek Hill had this phenomenal season. Like he was on pace at one point for 2,000 yards, and we all thought he was going to stink once he left Kansas City, and Tua couldn't get him the ball, and it was I'm really upset that a wide receiver in the history of the NFL, a wide receiver has never won the MVP. Never. A kicker has won it, and a wide receiver has never won it. That drives me nuts. I think it's gonna be Jalen Hurts. I think it's gonna be Jalen Hurts. What he does for that Eagles team, both with his arm and with his legs, I think it's gonna be Jalen Hurts. So that'd probably be my pick.
I want them to change the rules, and the reason why I want them to change the rules is because the MVP is what? It's the quarterback. That's all it is.
Yeah, in 90% of the time, it's the quarterback.
It's the quarterback, and I would like to have a most outstanding player and a league MVP. And the reason why I'm saying that, because I'm a little biased right now. I'm a little biased because I think the league MVP is Bosa.
Yeah, Nick.
I think Nick Bosa is the league MVP. We got 49ers got the best defense in the league. The last 13 games, the last 13 games, Bosa is at the top of the league in everything. And he's the catalyst of our defense. I think it's Bosa. But again, it's a quarterback-driven award. So a defensive player, which I said probably in like week 3, that I think that a defensive player should be considered for the league MVP. But I mean, the last defensive player to win it was Ray Lewis.
No. There's
Lawrence Taylor was the last one to win it.
No, I think we've had. I'll look it up. Well, because then I got the Vegas odds for you to make it even more confusing. But keep going.
So, I'm like I said, I'm a little biased when it comes to that. In this particular situation, I think Bosa should be the league MVP. He's at the top of the league in every defensive category, and the 49ers have been rolling. We got the best defense in the league, and it's primarily because of him. He's the catalyst of what we're doing. So, and I think Shanahan is coach of the year too. There's no team.
Look at the quarterbacks he's had to use all the pieces he's lost, and yet what he's.
There's no team. There's no team in the league that's lost their starting quarterback, lost their second quarterback, and still are rolling. So, I think Shanahan is the coach of the year, and I think that Bosa is the league MVP.
Agreed.
And I might sound biased, but
you got the same answer, Hailey?
No. Well, no, I was agreeing with Jay. I mean, I'm biased as heck, but no, I think I'm gonna have to go with Jalen. I've been with Jalen. I think it's just because when you look at what an MVP is, it is the most valuable player, and you can't argue with their record. You can't argue. You can't just say, oh, they've had an easy schedule. I mean, yes, that's help. Let's be real, but they've just continued on the hot streak that they're on. So I got to give them credit. But when I look at if it was not Jalen and if it wasn't for Jalen and their record, I would probably say Patrick Mahomes, just because he's such a special dude. I think he's going to run this next era. I mean, he's already run it prior to this, but I think he's going to continue to run it. Josh Allen is my favorite. Like if I was voting my favorite, I would probably say Josh Allen, but they've had some struggles over the past few weeks. So it'll probably be Jalen.
Yeah, you're right. By the way, 86, Lawrence Taylor, last defensive player to win it. If I look at the Vegas odds, though, Vegas odds, so I'll give you the 5 in reverse order.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna give you. Yeah, I'll give you 6 because I like that my guys here. So Tyreek Hill,
yes,
plus 25,000. Justin Jefferson, plus 10,000. Jalen Hurts, plus 1,000. Tied with Josh Allen. Number 2, and this one actually really, really surprised. And Vegas knows their stuff, man. Joe Burrow coming in at number 2.
Yeah.
And the number 1 odds-on favorite, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. So
that wouldn't surprise me, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, again, I think it's going to be a rematch of the Super Bowl in 2020 with the 49ers in Kansas City. I mean, but Patrick Mahomes, he's the class of the quarterback.
Oh yeah, it's listen. When it comes to quarterbacks, it's Patrick Mahomes and then everybody else.
Yeah,
like, I think that's one thing almost everybody agrees on.
Yeah,
it's like the NFL GOAT debate. It's like Tom Brady and then everybody else. I think the current debate is just as pretty clear cut too.
Yeah.
All right,
is Brady over?
Is Brady over?
Is Brady over?
Let me tell you something. You want a hot take? Here's the hot take for today. You ready?
Here we go.
Next season, the Miami Dolphins will in the off season, will move on from Tua Tagovailoa and bring in Sean Payton and Tom Brady. They already got punished for having the conversation last offseason. Why not do it? Why not do it? Since you already paid the penalty, why not? Because I love Tua. I do love Tua, but the concussions, it's
he might not hold up for.
I agree.
I think you got to save him. I think you got to save him from himself.
Yeah, he might not hold up 5 more years.
Brady looks like he's done, but I don't know, man. You throw Tariq Hill, Jalen Waddle, Gesicki, Mostert, Jeff Wilson around him. I don't know. He might start to look a little bit better.
46-year-old Tom Brady, he is over, Tone.
I know. Why are people still hanging on to this hope? Like
he's done. Over. Tom Brady is over.
All right, he's done. I know he's done.
Is he still gonna have streaks?
You want to hear the more realistic one? You want to hear the more realistic one?
Yes. That was on point.
If you're
that's a new one.
That's for On Point Sports. That's Captain Canada's. He's the #1 basketball reporter here in Canada. I like Drew Ebanks. What up? What up, though? I actually think, if I'm being so, that's obviously a joke take. In reality, I think Miami makes a move for Lamar Jackson this offseason.
Miami does.
I think Miami does. I think Miami.
I think he is a free agent. Yeah,
I'm being serious. I think they've got their head coach. I think he did a great job this year with the Dolphins, and I think the realistic one would be like, just think about it. You plop Lamar Jackson into that team, and he's the most gettable kind of big name QB.
Yeah,
I think they're ready to go. I think they're ready to go.
That could be
the Sean Payton thing was a joke, by the way, in case you didn't know.
And Jimmy G's with the Jets next year too.
I like that fun with the chat.
You heard it here.
What about Derek Carr?
Where's Jimmy G?
Jimmy G's with the Jets next year.
That could actually.
Oh no, Jimmy G's. Oh, really? I thought Jimmy G's a Raider.
No, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Raider.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Raider.
Oh no, Aaron Rodgers is going to San Francisco.
No,
he's going to end his career back home.
No,
Yeah.
He's going to be closer
in fact,
to home.
Not only is
not that close.
Yeah, he's going to be with the Raiders. It's going to be a reunion with him and Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
That's going to be a reunion.
Hey, you get him into the AFC, I'm happy. He can own the Bears once every 4 years. I'm cool with that.
Get him out that division.
Oh man.
All right, let me get to the next one then.
Yeah.
Boom. Bill. Oh no, I already said this one.
No.
Yeah.
We talked about that already. Yeah.
All right. Isaiah Jackson. I'm sorry, Isaiah Jackson. Woo. Who are the top 5 left-handed players ever?
Top 5 lefties. Let's see.
There was one. Oh.
I feel like we did this before.
Chris Mullin.
Oh, holy.
Who?
Warriors.
Chris Mullin. Lamar Odom. Chris Bosh.
Harden.
James Harden. Yep.
Are there any in the league? Who am I? There's a good. I saw somebody the other day that I didn't even realize was a lefty, but I can't remember.
Was David Robinson a lefty?
David Robinson too. That's where I was going. The last one, David Robinson.
What about Nate Archibald?
I don't know if I'm
putting Anderson. I'm just going to throw out some. Dave Coleman.
I'm not going to put him. I'm not going to put him ahead at a Ginobili.
Derek Coleman. Artist Gilmore. What about Manu? You didn't put Manu.
I just said Ginobili.
You just said it.
I just said Ginobili.
Yeah.
Is Harden okay? How about this? Is Harden the best left-hander of all time?
No.
Tony Kukoc.
All
right, who's the best one?
Who's the best?
All right, so hold on. Who's your 5 again? Your 5 is
David Robinson is the best left-hander of all time.
David Robinson, Harden, Bosh,
Chris Mullin,
and Ginobili.
And Ginobili, yes. And Lamar Odom's right on the outside looking in.
All right, I'm gonna go David Robinson. No order. David Robinson. I am totally cheating. Yeah, so I don't have a memory, dude. You don't like it? Fucking tune out.
Wait, Bill Russell was a lefty?
Don't steal my tip. Don't steal my.
Thanks,
David
Miles.
Robinson,
I just saw that.
Willis Reed, Bill Russell, James Harden,
Bill Russell was
and number 5. I'll go Chris Mullin. Why not?
Bill Russell was a lefty. That's correct.
Yeah, you gave Bill Russell.
Would it surprise you that LeBron James is a lefty?
Not really. So he's not really a lefty because he is predominantly right-handed, but he does he's more ambidextrous than a lefty.
Right.
I believe he writes with his left, but he shoots. He does he does everything else with his right hand too. Right. So yeah, I think he's a weird one because it's like certain things, right? Like I'm a righty, but I golf and play hockey left-handed. Yeah, because that's how I was taught. So it's just
Yeah, I was born left. Like my parents are lefts, but they switched me at 2 because they would be easier in the world. So you can figure it out. But
I always say this when people bring up old players or players from back in the day, like especially when I'm talking 50s and 60s. I always tell them, you got to remember, man, because my dad grew up in this time. It was considered the devil's work if you use your left hand. And they would legit smack you with a ruler and be like, don't do it. Or like, we're gonna burn you at the stake. And so even if you were left-handed, which we know is a genetic thing, it's not the devil's work. They force you to do stuff with your right hand. So of course now you're gonna go play basketball and don't dribble with your left because you're gonna go Satan.
I went to high school with a dude that was left-handed. He's the head basketball coach at UConn. I used to tease him all the time. And he was so easy to mess with. I used to tease him all the time. I was like, Dan, you know that right-handed people smarter than left-handed people. You know that right-handed
people are more creative.
I was like, left-handed people don't live as long as right-handed people. I used to tease them all the time. Stuff like I used to get in his head. What are you talking about?
I always have a flashback to The Simpsons every time someone brings up a lefty. I was like, "Hidely ho, neighbor," because he had that store, the left, whatever this store was. And yes, we did mention Dave Cowens as well. Okay, what do we got? Thank you, Isaiah, for that one. I know it's Big Herb, but I was a Big Herb. Can't believe Low Mars said Joker is a top 5 passer. Neither can we.
Oh my god, I saw that. I saw that. You did good, Jay.
I was trying to Low put me on the spot, and he asked me, "Is Stockton the top 2 passer all time?" Which I think he is a top 2 passer, but I got so mashuggah and I got so screwed up. I was about to have a stroke because I'm listening to these dudes tell me that Joker is a better passer than Stockton. I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna have a stroke.
Funny, people forget, when people say something so outlandish, you're so caught up in the moment of
that's where I was at, Tom. Yeah, that's exactly where I was.
You were starstruck. You were like,
I'm trying to get back to what Lo was telling me and trying to get back to the conversation. But I'm like, I'm about to have a stroke.
My question is, does Lo actually believe that, or is he just trying to start a riot, taking this?
Low will.
I don't think he truly
Low will occasionally. That. Low is like me. Will occasionally say stuff. In the moment to get your attention, and then kind of release. It's kind of like when you're fishing.
Like he was like what he was doing with what he was doing with Dell with Dr. J. He was messing with. He was messing with.
I know.
Knew that. That was obvious. Oh yeah. All right.
That was a good episode.
One from our friend Elder Rufus. What up? Salute, fellas. Salute, Elder. Hope to see y'all on the Ask Elder show after June 3rd here on Player's Choice. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing, but 100%, dude.
I did not know that was a thing neither. Yeah, I'll definitely tune into that, no doubt.
Let us know when, dude. As long as it's not Thursdays at 9, we good.
Yeah, because we kind of busy. We doing something.
We're busy.
Yeah, we busy. We doing something. Sorry.
Big Ox Bob, who's my new friend. When I went on to Player's Choice, did not. Yeah. What up, Bob? Love the show. Always dropping knowledge.
What up, Sam? How you running, brother? I'm trying to make a point, and I'm listening to Low tell me that John Stockton isn't as good a passer as Hey, Hailey, I thought I was gonna have a stroke. I swear I did.
I know. I was worried about you.
I'm like, these dudes gonna be the death of me. I don't know if I can handle this. This might be too much, yo.
It was a good episode, though. It was a good episode because my favorite thing is when somebody throws out something outrageous, but then slowly, it brings questions. You guys were asking some good questions, and it was good. It was just a little crazy.
It was essentially the Hailey, like, what are you talking about?
What did you just say? I just want to make sure you're paying attention with that, Hailey. I will say this. There was something else that came from that show. I will be reaching out to Lo. I was trying to get him on for this week.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get Lo on. We're going to try to explain to him that there are traditional positions. There are traditional point guards, traditional big men, traditional centers, but he couldn't make it. But for those that were saying, hey, I thought we're going to try and put that together.
Yeah.
Schedules, got to get those things. Reggie Reg says, chill. Really believe LBJ is the
GOAT. It was a
question mark? Help?
Yeah. GOAT. Yes, we've been out. Yes.
Took me a long time to come to that conclusion, my man. It ain't like I just came to it overnight. No, it took me a while. And yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Reggie Reg, I don't believe him. I think he's pandering to the kids for views. I don't believe him.
I'm caping for the what am I capping?
Capping. You're capping.
I'm capping for the youngsters sometimes.
The views.
Hey, speaking of capping for the youngsters, because we know that's how you got all your followers on TikTok.
Right.
What do you guys feel about TikTok going away? Maybe. You guys hear about this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, but that's been something they've been saying that for a while now. But just because of the government issues.
Do you know? It's interesting to me. What security issues? Tell me, what do we know? What I don't know enough about it. All I know is someone said they should get banned. I'm like, why? And they're like, because do you know what they're doing? I'm like, I don't care what they're doing.
I mean, it's not like they don't already, every app that you allow access to can't, but it's like
everybody's listening to what you're saying.
That's scary.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think Siri's doing? What do you think? What's her other name? I don't know the other one. Alexa's doing. Yeah. What do you think your Google Home is doing?
How many times I'm sitting here, Tone, and the phone's sitting right there, and then Siri starts talking. Siri, I ain't talking to you. What are you talking to me for, Siri? I wasn't talking to you.
I gotta tell you something right here. So, see, nicest films. TikTok is nearly as bad as OnlyFans. No, that's the algorithm based on the things that you're watching and liking.
Yeah, that's because you, my
TikTok, my TikToks only show me like literally sports and news and politics. Same. That's all I get on mine. The interesting part is if you are in China, though, TikTok is like a bunch of educational science things, and in the US and in Canada, they're showing you all the because they're trying to dumb you down. But you can change if you go and look for those science and educational stuff and like them and watch them into their entirety. You can change the algorithm to get you to where you want to be. So nice. So
basically, China is making it clear we're not a part of the goofy nonsense. That's not what we do.
Yeah, no.
We're not with the goofy nonsense. We're not doing that.
Here we go. Ant Boy Spice. Tom can't throw far enough for Waddle and Cheetah.
No.
That's what they said about Tua.
No, how is that realistic though, Tone? If you saw Tua in college, everybody knew he had the deep ball. It wasn't a question of whether or not he could throw 55, 60 yards. It wasn't even a question about that. Tua's issue, and I said that before he even showed up, was his health. It was never a question of whether he could throw the deep ball or whether he can hit. I knew that it would take some time for him to get the NFL game down and the playbook down. The matter with him, it was just a matter of, can he stay healthy? That was it.
Yeah, no, I knew you always felt that way. And I actually kind of said once that one of the things is that when you hurt your hip or break your hip or do whatever you did for the hip, that's where your twist comes from. That's where you get that power for that deep ball. Right. And what was his injury? It was a hip injury. Yeah. So he had to recover from that. And I think he's still not fully recovered from it. My issue is his health. But now with the concussions, another one.
Right.
It was so obvious, like Sunday, that fourth quarter, like just his, just the direction and his accuracy, everything about him in that like last half was just, you could tell he wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't just Tua being, off in the moment. Like he wasn't all there, and it was just sad. So I don't know what that means for the Dolphins, but
you got to remember who we talking about too, H. We talking about a dude who's had numerous concussions, and it's obviously affected his game, right? And not only has it affected his game, it's affected the Miami Dolphins, because there was a stretch where we're talking about a team that was at the top of the AFC, and before he missed those 3 games, we were having a conversation. We could have been having a conversation about Tua being in the MVP talk.
Oh, if he never gets hurt, he's if he doesn't get hurt, he's leading the NFL in the MVP votes. That's just bottom line,
right?
I think though, after that the first thing, that concussion, I guess it's the second one, because that first one was when he got up and he was wobbling and they said it wasn't. That was a lie. But when he got up and did the whole gang signs, his season should have been done.
It looked bad.
His season should have been done.
It looked really bad.
And just be like that's how many Chris Benoit's and Junior Seau's and all those things do we need to see before we realize, hey, that's a real thing, right? Like, I know people don't want to use this as an excuse, but like, let's be honest. Antonio Brown takes that hit from, I forget who it was on the
Perfect.
Yeah, and everything changed. Everything changed for him after that. Like, I'm telling you, those things happen. Like, we joke about like Bama and J-Rob always bring up the CTE boys because they played football for so long, right? But dude, it's not a joke. Because, like, I'm telling you, I only played football in high school. Right. And I remember, like, we say, yo, you got your bell wrong. You'd be seeing stars, and you'd be like,
well, there's a reason why.
You cussed, and they were like, hey, go back out there. Can you run a route? I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
There's a reason why Megatron quit. And the reason why Megatron quit is because in 10 years, when I'm 42 years old, I'd like to leave my house, and in an hour, I know where I live, right? I want to know that I'm going to be able to sleep and I'm not in excruciating pain, and I got to pump myself full of pills. I don't want to throw myself off the 10th floor of a building because I'm in excruciating pain all the time. I don't want to do that. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wrap this thing up, and I'm going to be out.
Hey, Dub, hold on, if I may. We'll get back, because these boys about to get concussed in a minute. If you want to promote your show on our show, you're going to have to pay. Right, there's sponsorship fees. You can't just be all up in our chat being like, come check out our show. Like, dude, I get it, we're the most popular show, we get it, but like, you gotta make that shit rain.
Mars is my man. I love that dude.
I do love Mars, but
I dig Mars. That's
that I'm
my
not
man.
a fan of.
I dig that dude.
Ryan Clark. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I was
well,
you were gonna say something about concussions. Did you get concussed? Because you're a fighter. So did you?
I've had several concussions, but I'm not in the gym right now.
Are you kidding me? This chick gets punched in the face. You don't think she had a concussion before? She got kicked in the head. I'm sure she's
broken teeth. I've my lip.
Yes, I'm sure. What's today, Hailey? Tuesday. No, it's Thursday. Come on, go sit down. Come.
You hear those silences sometimes. The stretch of silences. Right. No, hopefully I'll be good. We'll see.
What time is it, Hailey? It's 3:00. No, it's not. It's 9:00. Come sit down. No, we're done. We're finished with this.
I lost my mom.
And FYI, I'm just playing, Mars. Go watch Never Been in a Gym. I mean, Open Gym on Fridays. It's actually a really good show. It actually really is. I'm not no. All jokes aside, it's a good show. You should go check it out.
I watched it last week. I think I watched it. Yeah, last week I watched it.
I'm playing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. People don't know that you're a fighter.
Yep. Second-degree black belt. Let's go. It's been a while though. I really.
Hey, if you're a second-degree black belt, you don't have to tell people that. Just saying.
Hey, okay. Taste my own medicine, but yeah. Hopefully soon I'll be able to do some more. But what I wanted to ask is Tua. Because do you think, like, due to the concussions, is he going to be done this season? Like, will we see him again?
I don't understand why they would put him back out there.
They should shut him down.
I don't understand why they would put him. I don't understand why they would put him back out there. I don't.
People want to know second-degree black belt in what? Just sorry to interrupt.
Taekwondo, yeah.
Taekwondo. Okay.
But I've done jits.
Did I tell you that my son just got his red stripe? I believe.
Yeah.
He went up. Yeah.
Oh, he did. That's so good.
I think it's red. It's red striped and red, right? And then black stripe. Yeah. Okay, he knows.
Depends what sport. Yeah.
No, Taekwondo.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Let's go, boy.
To answer your question, Hailey, yes, I don't think there's any reason why they should throw him back out there. I think that he should be done for the season. He should have been done for the season when he got concussed. I think it was against Buffalo, or when he came, like you said, Tony,
he was clearly
when he was when they had to take him off on a stretcher. Like he should have been done for the season. It should have been over, no doubt about that. So to throw him back out there again, nah. I'm good.
We're not reading that one, Reggie. Thanks for the $2 though. Nice try, homie. All right, we gotta go. We hit the hour mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do the duos.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. So obviously the consensus is probably from all three of us that Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are the best duo currently in the NBA, not only because of what they did last season, but like you said earlier, Jay, they've both just continually grown and their ceilings getting higher. Yeah. So do you think that they're the best duo? I want to start off with that first. Who is the best duo currently in the NBA? And then I want to do your favorite underrated duo currently in the NBA.
Well, there's a number of different duos in the NBA that are really good. Like Garland and Mitchell are really good. Murray and Trey are really good. But I think that Tatum and Jalen Brown, for what they bring as a duo, and Tone and I have had this conversation, I think that when I watch them, they are what Leonard and Paul George were supposed to be in terms of not just offensively, but defensively as well. Everything that they bring to the table and how they play off of each other and how one is not stepping on the other one. Like if Jalen Brown gets going, then Jason Tatum can get going. And if Jason Tatum's getting going, Jalen Brown is doing something else, whether he's defending, whether he's playmaking. So when you get this group together, they look like they're on the same page. It doesn't look like it's something that they're tripping over each other. So when I think about those guys as a duo, I, no question about it, think that they're the best duo in the game.
So a lot of this comes down to, for me, is health, right? Because if everyone's healthy, we're still talking about, honestly, we're still talking about LeBron and AD. We're still talking about LeBron and AD.
Yeah, yes, we are.
Yeah. If healthy, the problem is they're not healthy. Jamal Murray and Jokic. Jamal Murray's he's working his way back into health. So I think that's not quite there yet. Obviously, my issue with Tatum and Brown is that they're both inconsistent. And that has been my issue with Tatum, as Jay's been saying, he's going to be in the MVP conversation. He's going to be in the MVP conversation. He's going to be in that's what I keep hearing, right? And my retort is always, I need him to get healthy. I need him to be consistent. Excuse me, right? You can be, and that's why I always say like superstars, right? When people say like they're superstar caliber players, and Dell, if you're listening, Dell, if you're here, just let me know you're in the chat because you're going to really like where I'm going here. And I keep saying there's multiple superstar caliber players, but to be a superstar, you need to be a combination of a lot of things that very few people are. You need to be able to lead your team deep into the playoffs. Now, okay, maybe that's second round, but I prefer third round, fourth round, finals, of course. But second round, I think if you can be competitive in the second round, I think I'll give you that. You need to obviously either lead or be at the top of certain statistics, right? I prefer you be a two-way player. Right. I prefer that, but I know in today's NBA that's really rare that there's two-way guys. There's very few of those.
Elite two-way guys.
They're superstar caliber players, right? But to take that next step is you gotta hit a bunch of other criteria for me. One of those things is consistency.
Right.
And that is my issue with Jalen Brown and with Tatum. They lack consistency.
Is it fair to say though, Tone, that they've been more consistent this season?
Yeah, that's why Tatum's in the MVP conversation this year. Because he's been more consistent. But if I'm going to say everybody healthy, what duo am I most afraid of playing against? It's KD and Kyrie.
Yeah.
It's KD and Kyrie because they do so much. They do so much in today's NBA that if they're playing, shake your head all you want. They are the scariest duo right now because they can listen. Today's NBA is outscore the other team.
How can you say that, Tone? And the reason why I'm asking you that is because of those duos that you mentioned, who won the NBA championship?
See, but you were going back.
No, and you're talking about right, and you're talking about health. The guy that you
I prefaced it by saying if they're all
healthy, and we're talking about if everybody's healthy. When this guy was healthy, right? When he was healthy, and when James was healthy, how good were these guys as a duo?
Oh, yeah, but I think James and AD. Yeah, I agree, but I can't even imagine a situation where AD is healthy.
Okay,
yeah, maybe it's so far outside of our reality.
It was only okay. It was
years ago, but that's what I'm saying right now. I am saying right now. I'm saying right now.
If Anthony Davis could stay healthy, I think he's if he could stay healthy, he's a top 10 player, arguably a top 5 player. Once again, Tone, we talking about a duo. This was the original plan. That's why
for AD to be so good,
right?
LeBron has to be the number 2 on that team,
which he's good with.
And that's why I kind of bring him down a notch, because KD and Kyrie as a combo, again, healthy this year, we're talking about, they complement each other.
Do they though?
I think they complement way more than AD and Bron, because what you're essentially saying is, Bron, bring the ball up and put it into AD and let him work.
Right. And I'm going to play off of him. That's the idea. That's why James led the league in assists. And that was going to keep going. And that was going to keep going, only except this dude broke down. And in the process of him breaking down, that means James now has to get back to the dominant space on the floor. I didn't come here for that. That's not what I came here for. So,
I stand with Ticket, and he will tell you what.
What will he tell me when he ain't yelling at me that I'm lying?
What would he tell you about Anthony Davis?
Oh, Terry Claw. No,
Terry Claw. That means he's very soft.
He's very soft, right? That's what he would tell me. But
shout out, I stand with you.
When we're talking about a duo that's healthy, I'm going off what I seen again, and I seen
everybody in healthy. You still got Tatum and Brown.
It's hard for me to pick them two if James and. Because if Anthony Davis had stayed healthy, I think we see a different Laker team. I think we see a completely different Laker team, and I think we see a different result too. Because with Anthony Davis being healthy and them running the offense through him, and James playing off of him, they were the NBA champs. And there was no reason why that couldn't keep going, because James obviously today is still playing at a high level. Before Anthony Davis got hurt, he was 31-15 and 2 blocks. So there's no reason why that thing couldn't keep rolling.
There is a reason. There is a reason.
There's a reason.
You know what that reason is.
You know what that reason.
Steph Curry is that reason.
No.
Are you kidding me? First off, you have to take into account AD. Sure, I will not argue with you there, but LeBron, we have to take into consideration his age. Like, he's no young man. Like,
he's
breaking down.
Did James not put 56 on your boys last year without Anthony Davis, and they won?
He did.
So I'm sure that if AD is healthy, we're having a completely different conversation about Steph Curry.
Consistently, LeBron is not going to be putting up anything like that with.
Well, of course he's not, and that was the reason why Anthony Davis showed up, because I'll have to do that. I'm going to play off of this dude.
Yeah,
and it was working until Anthony Davis broke down. That's the downside. But to answer your question, Tone, if I'm
everybody healthy, who you got?
Everybody healthy, it'll be hard for me to pass on James and Anthony Davis. It's hard to pass on those two guys. Very hard. Even as much as I love Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, it's hard for me to pass on James and Anthony Davis, because I've seen the result, and there's no reason why I couldn't continue to work.
I feel like you and James are turning into Dell and KD.
No, I'm not like.
Is he paying your car note too?
Because I'm not delusional. Where I'm just, this dude is 38 years old. He's not what he used to be. Even though he's still playing at a high level, he's not what he used to be. So
is he playing? Like, he put up 38 and 6. I'm like, yeah, but they went 1-4 in that stretch.
Yeah, man,
they gotta win.
Everybody, Jay, people are calling you out.
They could call me out. They could call me out all they want. Again, once we talk, what are we talking about here? When we talk about bias, we're talking about prejudging. I'm not prejudging. I already seen it.
I think you have the narrative that LeBron is the best, and you're going to do whatever you can to defend that.
But here's the difference, though. The difference is that I wouldn't defend it. I wouldn't have to I would have to defend it if I didn't see it. But I already seen it, so I already seen the result. So I'm going off what I already saw. These two dudes together, when they were healthy, won the NBA championship. Well,
that was 3 years ago.
Anthony Davis was playing at a ridiculous.
Anthony Davis was in his mid-30s. He's now in his late 30s, and you know the difference. You've been there.
Anthony Davis was playing at an elite level. Well, why couldn't he continue to play at that if he was healthy, playing off of James, with James playing off of him? Why couldn't that continue?
It's true, and it's not like KD's that young. Like KD's
Right.
heading into his mid to late 30s.
Add that to the fact that with KD and Irv, once again, you're talking about prejudging. I've already seen this. So at some point, what's going to happen between these two guys?
All right, this is not a super chat, but Dell and KD versus Chill and Braun, who wins
today?
All in your prime. All in your prime.
That is tough.
Oh, Dell would get worked. Dell would get worked. Yeah. Man, please. Dell would get them. And I know Dell a big dude. I think Dell like 6'7".
No, he's 6'8".
Yeah, I think he's like 6'6". I mean 6'7", 6'8". Yeah, Dell will get everything he's looking for. No doubt about that.
Okay.
No doubt.
Well, there you have it, Nabil. There's your winner. I just want to point out that with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, Luka Doncic, 28, 11, and 11. He's got a triple-double, and he's still got time left in the third. We're probably looking at another 40 and 20 game. That's what we might be looking at. We might be looking at run. You know, it reminds me. You remember that week, March 16th to the 23rd, where Kobe went for like 55 times.
I think he went 40 in 9 straight games or some nonsense like
50.
that. Yeah,
50. Do you know that in that week? Now I'll take a shot at KD. Do you know that in that week, at March 16th to March 23rd, Kobe had more 60-point games in that week, than KD's had in his career
ever. These how many 60-point games KD has? 0. These how many. That's why I have such a difficult time with this scoring KD thing. As good a scorer as he is, KD lets his foot off the gas. He doesn't pour it on.
But that's not his scoring. So let me take a shot at this. He is one of, if not the most efficient and versatile scorers ever.
Correct.
He's third all time in points per game. Fourth behind Jordan, Wilt, and Baylor.
Top 5, no doubt.
The what you're talking about is my issue with him. Where he takes his foot off the gas when he could go for 50, 60, 70, and he doesn't. Right. That's mentality, though. That's mentality. That's not his scoring ability. So I say, his scoring ability, you got to put him top 5, top 3 greatest scorers of all time. It's just that his mentality, I think, keeps him from having those big 60, 70-point games.
And that comes with doesn't that come with it though, Tom?
No, because I feel like he only takes his foot off the gas when they're winning. Like, I don't think he has taken his foot off the gas and they've lost. I think it's, hey, we've got this in the bag, just relax. And I don't like that, because I am very much, when you got them down, you step on their throat and you stomp on it. Like, you take all the life out of them. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't have that mentality. But that's, everybody has that different mentality.
Plus, when you get cooking like that, it's not like I get cooking like that all the time. So when you get cooking like that, you don't let your foot off the gas.
No, I remember, I feel like I was exhausted. I missed 3 shots in a row. And I'm like, I was about to throw the fist up and call for a sub. And then we got a steal. I hit one. And all of a sudden, I hit a second one. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm not tired anymore. It's, this is fun. This is fun again.
Good.
So, I get that part too, but, just different mindset. All right. Sorry, Hailey. I think so. I've got KD and Kyrie healthy. Jay's got LeBron and AD.
But in today's game, I got Tatum and
right now. You say Tatum Brown are the best right now?
Yes, I do.
Still too inconsistent for me.
I don't like the Celtics personally. I respect them, but I have been watching Tatum more.
I already know why you're laughing, Tone, because I already know why you're laughing. So
because I can't argue with how good Jason Tatum has been. And I do really like Jalen Brown, although he's been kind of inconsistent as well. So like you said, Fluent, they have their moments, but who doesn't? It's still, we're not even halfway through the season, so it is what it is. But I have been watching Brooklyn Nets games, and I am not giving them any credit, because I know in a month or so something's going to happen to that team that's going to just make them crumble and fall apart. But I can't argue with how good they've been playing. It's insane. So yeah, it's right there for me between Katie and Kyrie and Jason and Jalen. But I will say my Warriors have all been injured. I'm just gonna say by the end of the season, Clay and Steph will be back on your radar. So don't forget about them. They may look bad now, but
Can I put something on your mind, H, real quick? And I said this to Tone a couple of days ago. Just so you know, on the 27th of December, which is when we did the show, the Brooklyn Nets were 23-9. Right? 23-9 when we did the show. Rewind the clock 1 year to the day.
Yeah.
They were 22-10. Same record.
Oh,
not only do they have the same record, let's take it a step further than that. KD had a 15-game stretch at that time where he went 57, 54, 80.
I remember,
So, what I'm seeing from KD right now, I'm not like, yo, this dude is amazing. This has always been who KD is.
Yeah.
He's always been a top two.
Who was on that team that's not on it right now?
Who was on that team? Let's see. So
Brown.
Curry wasn't on that team at that point.
Which means who was on that team?
James Harden was on that team. Yep. James Harden was on.
They're a different team. And what happened? And what happened that you always reminded me of? What happened when the Nets started to falter?
What happened? James Harden went to pieces.
James Harden. Well, James Harden.
But Kevin Durant
was injured.
Kevin Durant was the one.
Hurt.
Yeah, Kevin Durant was the. And which is why I go back to what I keep telling you, Tone. That's why I'm out for that reason right there. Because
can we put them back on your TV, Hailey? Can we put the Nets back on your TV right now?
They can in and out between commercials.
So I'm the only one. I'm the only one who thinks they got it. They figured it out. I really like.
They're not going to be anything. They're not going to be anything.
I really like Jacques Vaughn. I'll tell you this. I think Tatum and Brown. I think Tatum and Brown, just to put a bow on this thing. I think Tatum and Brown are the third best duo because I think I got Embiid and Harden over them right now.
No.
Embiid's your MVP. You heard it here first.
Over Joker?
Now you're more fluent.
Joker ain't winning it. They're not giving it to him for a third year in a row. No, they're not. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Have you seen, dude? They have been absolutely balling out.
I agree. I agree.
Number one seed in the West. I think he just had a 40-20 game not too long ago.
They are not going to give.
They can't. They're not going to give. It's consistent though, Fluent. You can't not give it.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be consistent. It's going to be hard to keep it away from Joker.
But I'm saying regular season, not into the playoffs.
The NBA has always been consistent, Tone. What are you talking about? When you talk about the league MVP, the NBA has always been consistent.
Really?
Yes.
Last year they gave it to a 6 seed. Okay. How many times have they done that in the history of the NBA?
How about the year before that? Who'd they give it to?
Because those numbers were historic. The same.
How about Russell Westbrook?
Okay, so that's the one exception in the decade of the 2010s. Okay, that was 40 years ago. Okay, that was another 40 years ago. I'm sorry. That was 50 years ago.
How many you want me to give you?
No, that was 50 years ago. So
exactly. So when in back-to-back seasons have they gone crazy?
What do you mean have they gone crazy? Again,
when in back-to-back seasons have they done something
so the year before they gave it to Joker. They gave it to Joker the first time. Denver was the third seed, right? In 21.
Wasn't he Gobert for a while? Didn't he get like back-to-back? Or like it was jumped. Didn't Rudy win MVP?
No, he was defensive player.
Defensive player of the year.
Defensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year.
So he won it the year before.
So the year before that
was Bird.
Yes. And I'm
James 4 out of 5.
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. So, like I said, Giannis won it the year before that, and in the process of Giannis winning it the year before that, Milwaukee's in first place. The year before that, Giannis won it. Milwaukee's in first place. Houston, James Harden won it. Houston's
after Giannis won it 2 years in a row, did he have a better or worse year?
Okay, so the first year he won.
Answer the question.
What do you mean? Did he have a better or worse year?
Yeah, and that next year after the back-to-back.
I don't know. He didn't have a worse year, but he didn't have a better year neither. So you know what? To say that, then yes, he did have a worse year, because if he didn't have a better year, he had to have had a worse year. Correct. That is correct. So with that being said, Tone, in order for Joker to win the league MVP this year, Denver is better. That's number one. Number two, the year that he had last year, where he basically led the league in PER and offensive plus minus, defensive plus minus, overall plus minus, offensive win shares, defensive win shares. He's going to have to do something like that again, even though he's like 26, 12, and almost 10. He's close to that right now. And they're going to do everything that they can to keep the MVP away from him. They're going to do everything that they possibly can to keep the MVP away from him.
There you go.
But I'll tell you what, though, Tone, it's going to be hard considering what he's doing.
Listen, I think we all agree. Like if he hadn't won the last 2, he's winning it this year.
Yeah.
If things stay the way they are.
If he won it the 2021 and then last year somebody else won it and then this year, he probably would be. He probably would be the front runner right now. He probably
going to be Joel. You think Fluent? Do you really think Joel?
I feel like Joel came in second 2 years in a row, and the NBA also has a history of kind of lifetime achievement awards, and so I think if he's in the conversation, he's gonna win it because it's like, hey, he came in second 2 years in a row. We don't know what's gonna happen next year, the year after that. So like let's give him his one because we feel like he's deserved it. They do that all the time.
That's what happened to Harden. That's what happened to James Harden.
He does deserve it.
When James Harden won it.
Yeah, and it's not like he's undeserving. Like I said, if he's in that conversation, I think they bump him up. And, like just think about how many times, like, look, I have a hard time saying it. Kobe has 1 MVP. We all know Kobe is much better than a 1 MVP player. But I think they were giving it to here and giving it there and giving it here. And I'm not arguing and saying he should have won this one or that one, but I think that year came to a point where, oh shit, Kobe hasn't won one. Oh, we got to give him an MVP, right? It's just
they did everything that they could in 08 to keep it away from him too. Everything they wanted to give it to Chris Paul so bad,
but
they did everything they could to keep it away from him. But they couldn't.
I think they give it to him. I think they give it to him.
Couldn't.
So we got a couple of things here.
Yeah,
and I'll let you guys pick. So we got a couple super chats I'm going to read in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chat's asking, but it's up to you. If you want me to drop the link and let a couple people come in and have their minute, because there's some people saying they got some things to get off their chest.
Oh boy!
All right, so we'll do. So I'm gonna drop the link right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Boom. Remember, chat, the link is in there. You come in, you turn on your camera, and I will bring you in for 1 minute. And no disrespect, when your minute's done, I'm gonna knock you out. And bring in the next person. So here we go. Let's do these first super chats. LeBron James better all around than Jordan, but Jordan's still better. I can't wrap my head around that. If a player better overall, how is he not the best player? Well, Tyrese, better or all around player. I don't agree with that. I don't believe LeBron James is a better all around player. I think LeBron James does more things offensively than Michael Jordan, but I don't. So for someone who tells you he's a better all-around player, but the other dude's better, you gotta ask them to explain that. I don't know do you know the answer to that question for people who say that?
I don't, because when I think about a better all-around player, I think about a better player. If you're a better all-around player, then you're a better player. I mean, Scottie Pippen.
Hold on. It's okay. Scottie Pippen is a great all-around player. Is he better than Kevin Durant? Kevin, right? Even though Pippen's a better all-around player, Kevin Durant is clearly the better player, I think.
Now you're more fluent.
But see, that's exactly what comes into play. What we talked about earlier. What is your bias? What do you lean towards?
What do you value more?
Yeah,
I never did that to you before. I love it.
Deafening silence.
I love it.
Well, because I'm thinking about KD, and I'm thinking about KD as good as KD is, and I'm thinking about Scottie Pippen, and KD is buckets, man, and he affects the game. But Scottie Pippen, he's not buckets, but the other stuff that Scottie brings, how valuable is that? Is that more valuable than what KD brings? Is KD a better player than Scottie Pippen? Probably is, even though Scottie does more.
So Tyrese, there's your answer. You can be a better all-around player and not be the better player. I'm glad we were able to solve that. Big Ox Bob. Oh, his best duo is. He's a Kings fan. He's a Kings fan. Sabonis and Fox. All right. Well, he's a Kings fan, so that's cool.
Mike Brown might be the coach of the year too. While I'm sleeping on him, he might be the coach of the year.
Hey, let me ask you about your guy real quick, and then the guys that are waiting to come on, I will bring you on in 30 seconds. I promise. We're going to start with Kareem.
Yep.
Mike Brown doing a phenomenal job as a coach.
Yep.
We all slept on Mike Brown. Like he was being a great assistant, great head coach. I think we all agree that Eric Spoelstra, great coach. Tell me if I say anything that you disagree with. Ty Lue, great coach. When we look back in 10 years when LeBron has retired, Because the narrative today is LeBron had no coaches. Jordan had Phil Jackson. Kobe had Phil Jackson. Magic had Pat Riley. And the narrative has been LeBron hasn't had any coaches. Well, when it's easy to say that at the end of their career when you look back.
Right.
When we look back, so when Hailey's kids look back and they go, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, Mike Brown, Hall of Fame coach. Eric Spoelstra, Hall of Fame coach. Ty Lue, Hall of Fame coach. Does that narrative change? Like, will people say, how did he lose with, and we know, but again, I'm saying in 10 years from now, how did he lose with Shaq and LeBron and Hall of Fame coach Mike Brown? And they won 66 games. How did they not make it to an NBA final? Do you think that narrative changes for those guys trying to debunk the LeBron mythology, like people are trying to do with Jordan, like they're trying to do with Wilt? Like, do you think that becomes a narrative? Like, he had these great coaches. He had 3 great coaches.
Yeah.
It will change for those who haven't, who are growing up later. I think they won't understand the history of their coaching, but I mean, we'll know watching. In those years, we'll know.
Because they're going to just see the numbers. They're going to see the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of their career,
and that's the first thing that they're going to say. He had Mike Brown, and they won 66 games, and he had Shaq. And they're going to take away from the fact that Shaq was over. They're not going to talk about that. They're not going to talk about the fact that Mike Brown was a new head coach. It wasn't like Mike Brown was there for 10 years. He was a new head coach.
Phil Jackson was a rookie head coach when he took over the Bulls.
Yes, he was. And they didn't win. It wasn't like they was winning. What
are you talking about? His first year, don't they go to their second year, they go to the Eastern Conference Final. Third year, they're winning the NBA championship.
Actually, their second year, they win the NBA championship.
I thought it was the third. Was it second year? Okay.
Second year. Now, he was on that bench. Just so you know,
he was on the bench. He was on that bench in 7 when Pippen had the migraine.
Yep, and then the next year that they win the NBA championship.
There you go. He's a young head coach. No one talks about that. All right, let's bring in Kareem. Thanks everybody for the super chats. Keep them coming. We'll put you back on.
Yo, what's good, guys?
What up?
What up? So I want to talk about the most underrated duo, in my personal opinion. You might know where this is going, but my most underrated duo is Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups, of course. But let me explain why. Because
how are you Piston fan? You have a Heat. It's 0-0-0. Okay.
Yeah.
You start there
because I know how much you like Joel Anthony. So
okay. Canadian, I gotta like him.
Yeah, but so let me explain why. So when they played together, they went 317 wins and only had 144 losses. That's a 68 win percentage. In the playoffs, they had 67 wins, 44 losses, 60 win percentage. They made the conference finals 6 years in a row from 2003 to 2008, and they played a huge role in that. They beat the Kobe Shaq Lakers. After that championship run, they went to another finals, 7-game series against the San Antonio Spurs, a great team. Combined, they earned 6 All-Star appearances, 3 All-Defensive teams, 3 All-NBA teams, and of course, Chauncey Billups has 1 Finals MVP. I think that's a duo that not a lot of people talk about, especially offensively, they're great, and defensively, they're great. They're 2 great two-way players, and they won a lot with each other. So, what do y'all think?
No, I don't think they were great defensively. I think they were on a great defensive team. There's a difference between being great defensive players and being on a great defensive team. And I think that's the difference with those guys. Add that to the fact that both Chauncey Billups and Richard Hamilton, they weren't 20 a game guys. They were high teens guys. They were high 18, 19 a game guys. But because they were on a great defensive team, that made them even better because they were able to speed up the game. I don't think that people talk nearly as much about that Detroit Piston team from 2003 to 2008 when they were in the Eastern Conference Championship as many times. I think that 2004 NBA Finals, I think that if they would have played the Lakers 10 times, they would have beat them 9.
And I think what you're saying, all the numbers you gave were correct. I'm not going to fact check them, but they sound correct. Sounds like you checked. The issue is, the one thing the Pistons are definitely known for in that run was that they were a great team.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
it was Chauncey, Rip, Ben Wallace, Rasheed, and I think what was Tayshaun was the other starter. And it was a 5. So I think possibly any duo out of that 5 is going to get underrated because no one looks at them as a duo. They look at them like when you look at Jordan and Pippen. No one's ever going to confuse that they were the two and everybody else was role players.
Right.
When you look at Shaq and Kobe, no one's going to confuse that they were the two and the rest were role players.
Right.
When you look at the Pistons, that's a backcourt duo, and that's good.
Yep.
But you're going to get the Ben Wallace, the Rasheeds, and the Prince. You know, they held on. Those other three guys had a lot. They weren't lesser than these other guys.
Right.
So I think that's where maybe you might have trouble convincing someone of the duo.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. I think we don't talk about that Pistons team enough. I think they were really good. Absolutely.
Also, like another great duo was the three-peat Lakers and the refs. I mean,
okay. Thank you. That's your time,
Have a great night,
Kareem.
man. Have a great night. See y'all. Joel Anthony to go, by the way.
Shout out real quick to Tyson Thomas. He just became a member on YouTube. So congratulations and thank you.
Thanks. All right, Big Herb.
Hello.
What's going on?
What up?
I just want to say this isn't like something that's been said on this show, but it's one of the things that Chill talks about with production. And I love the arguments he always starts with, like Low and Ticket, because I think that they don't understand is like, at least people in this generation, when you say like someone that hasn't led in like a category, like Shaq never led the league in rebounding or blocks, it's not to say, oh, because he didn't have like a title to something, it doesn't mean he wasn't great. It's just when you look at the time and the players he played against, he was never better than all of them. He was better than majority, but he's never better than all of them. And I think the one thing, like when you rank players, because I have a lot of my friends who don't rank Shaq as high as he should be, or say he's not top 10. And especially in terms of center wise, it's like, I understand, and they even say like, oh, he's better than Kareem. Well, Kareem, when he was in the league, he was always, there were multiple seasons, he was always the best at what he did. It's not like to say Shaq was never good. It's just, it matters to be the best over everybody. You can't just be the best over a few or just majority. You have to be the best over everybody.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Also, love the show. You guys have taught me so much about basketball and just the knowledge, and I hope to join it someday. But love the show. Keep it going.
Absolutely, brother. No doubt.
Appreciate you.
No doubt.
Thank you.
Yep, no doubt. And that's fair, Tom. I mean, that's not to say that, you know, when Shaq was second in the league in rebounding, right? Or he was third in the year he won the league MVP. I think he was third in the league in blocks. And he finished second that year in defensive player of the year. But the fact that as good as dominant as he was, the fact that he never led the league in rebounding one time, never led the league in blocks.
You really hold that against him?
I do, man, because I think about the all-time greats. I think about the fact that Chamberlain led the league in rebounding. Olajuwon led the league in blocks. He led the league in rebounding. I care about that stuff. So, okay, we talking about.
Okay, hold on. So you played 10. You and I both played 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You lead the league in rebounding twice. Other 8 years, not in the top 5. In my 10 years, I'm third every year.
Right.
You're not giving me any love? You're not saying I'm a better rebounder than you?
I'm going to give you love, but if I led the league in rebounding twice and I'm not in the top 5, I don't think that's the same thing, because I'm not really that elite. That's a fluke, as opposed to if I led the league in rebounding twice and in the other 8 years, I'm a top 3 rebounder. That's completely different.
All right.
Where's Shaq on your top 10? Chill, I forget.
10.
He's 10, yeah.
10.
And then Fluent, he's high.
Shaq, he's so
like
tough.
5 or 6.
I've had Shaq at. I want to look. I think I have him at. I'm gonna look because
I think you got him right outside. Last I checked, Tone, I think you got him right outside the top 5. I think you got him at like 6.
That's what I was thinking. 5 or 6. Well, your list is weird.
My list changes with new information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I currently have Shaq at 9.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I've had him as low as 7, and then I had that debate with myself about Hakeem, and then I wanted to start adding in more players that are active.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've reevaluated it. So I have right now my most recent list. I have him at 9.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joey, you are up next, but I see that you're not. Wait, Joey, you here? There we go. All right, he had to go get some water. All right, man.
What up?
What up, Chill? I got some beef with you, bro.
Here we go.
That smart defensive player of the year was deserved, my bro. It wasn't even close. Like, no, it was close. It was close. The odds makers, I think it was like plus 155 for the whole second half of the year for Marcus Smart. I don't think Mikal Bridges was even close in the Vegas odds.
Right.
Head to head, I don't know what the head to head was last year, but
I do.
The whole what was it?
Mikal Bridges averaged more rebounds, he averaged more steals, and he had a high defensive rating.
The ticket logic with the averaging.
Why doesn't that matter? Why doesn't that matter? This is what I'm producing.
More defensive rebounds.
This is what
more defensive rebounds. Chill.
Yes.
Well, Smart's at guard though. You're going to hold rebounds against a 6'4" guard.
If I'm not mistaken, Mikal Bridges plays on the perimeter too. It ain't like he plays on the box.
Okay, who's going to get more rebounds off of?
So Mikal Bridges is 6'6". Marcus Smart is 6'4". What are we talking about?
How long is the wingspan for Mikal Bridges?
So
a few inches compared.
That's not the point. The point here is
obviously
I can appreciate Marcus Smart. I can appreciate what Marcus Smart did, and the reason why is because I look at what Marcus Smart did on a great defensive team. Don't forget that not only was he first team all defense, his 5-man was first team all defense too. Don't leave that part out.
The Suns were the best collective team defense.
Actually, they weren't. They were number 8 in the league. So no, they weren't. They were number 8 in the league.
They were one in defensive rating.
Numero uno.
Boston was tied with the Warriors for the highest defensive rating.
Numero uno. So with that also being said, if I'm not mistaken, the Phoenix Suns were 8th. The Phoenix Suns were 8th last year in defense, and that was primarily due to Mikal Bridges. He was the best defensive player on that team, and it wasn't a question.
So Ayton didn't help. The veteran CP3 didn't help at all. It was
not nearly as much as Robert Williams did.
But hold on.
Nearly as much as Robert Williams.
Hold on.
Hold on. Before you go any further, Tone, are you going to sit here and tell me that Robert Williams didn't help more than Ayton helped Mikal Bridges? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
As a team defense,
as a team defender?
Are we counting availability?
Right.
Are we counting availability? Right. Are we counting availability into that?
We're talking about all of this stuff. There's a reason why the Boston Celtics,
and 100%.
There's a reason why the Boston
Celtics, availability 100%.
There's a reason why the Boston Celtics were the number 1 defense in the league.
But that's who gets the Defensive Player of the Year award. It's the best defensive player on the best defensive team. That's what the NBA does.
What's your argument? Are you arguing that Mikal should have won?
No. I think Joey has a beef because Jay must have said that Mikal Bridges deserved it over Smart, and Joey is from Boston and says
Rochester 585
Rochester, New York.
Yeah,
same thing.
I'm around there all the time. I head over to Buffalo, do some shopping there. Anyways,
that's where I go to school.
All right, we close.
I forgot what the conversation was about, but it was. I forgot how it got brought up.
It was a tangent because Lowe said that Rudy Gobert should have won it, and I was like, "That's not even. I'm not even going to acknowledge."
Bam! I would have rather had Bam than Rudy Gobert.
Right.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Smart. Okay.
And it wasn't that I didn't think. I forgot where this conversation originated from, but it didn't have anything to do with Marcus Smart not winning it. It was about Marcus Smart. If he was,
you think Marcus Smart deserved it, but you feel Bridges probably would have been your pick. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is Marcus Smart, I don't have a problem with him winning it, but I'm trying to remember what the conversation was about and why I brought up Mikal Bridges, because we talked about production.
I think it was a little tangent. I'm not going to lie. I think it was like a tangent off of a different conversation.
But it wasn't about Marcus Smart not winning it. I just felt like what Mikal Bridges was doing, it was I have to remember exactly what it was about. I forgot what it was about.
But
why I brought up Mikal Bridges?
Do you think Tatum and Brown take a step backwards defensively if they don't play with Smart? I think they take a huge leap back defensively.
I don't think it's just Smart though. See, I think you underestimate how important it is to have a rim protector and a rebounder as good as Robert Williams.
Dude, I have a Twitter account with Robert Williams as the face of it. I know.
When you playing with a guy like that, how much better that makes me defensively on the perimeter. That doesn't just enhance Marcus Smart doesn't just enhance Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. Robert Williams enhances all three of those guys because I got this dude behind me that's going to clean up my messes. So I'm taking more chances on the perimeter, right? I'm more aggressive on the perimeter as opposed to if I got an average guy back there or if I got an okay guy back there, I'm probably not going to do as much as opposed to I got Robert Williams back there.
No, I get that. I'm saying if we're talking about leading someone to the rim, you're right. But Smart, with the way if someone takes a step back, he's doubling, he's up, he's taking charges at the perimeter and the foul line. He's pressing up on guys, making them uncomfortable. Like today, he blocked Zubats at the rim. Like what? Like I don't know. I don't think it was.
A lot of flopping going on with Marcus Smart too. I don't want to put.
The refs are calling it. Everyone's traveling. You got to give. You got to take what the refs are giving to you.
Absolutely,
you got to take what the refs are giving to you.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah. Good talk to you, brother.
Shout out up to New York. We're gonna get into Ticket's father here in a minute, because honestly, we got to hear from Ticket's father.
Mars?
No. I don't know if it's Ticket's father. That's the name. I hope I'm nervous about what I'm getting into, but I'm going to bring him on. But I want to pull this up real quick because, there's, our job is to make people smarter. So here's the thing. Oh, what happened to it? Did I lose it? Oh man. The chat was the comment was that Marc Gasol was the worst.
Second team all league, the worst
defensive player of the year because he was second team
all defense.
He was second team all defense.
Correct.
So here's the thing, because people, just to give the context, right?
Yep.
And I don't have all the stats. I did a whole thing on it, so you can go back and check through my stuff, and you can see it. But I do want to pull it up so we know what we're talking about. The people that voted for the defensive player of the year that year. Were the coaches, correct?
I think it was the coaches, yes.
The coaches voted, and the people who voted for the first, second, third team All-Stars was the media. So it wasn't the first time. In fact, the year before, the defensive player of the year, I believe, was Tyson Chandler. And he was also a second team all defensive player because it was different people voting. So you can't use that against Marc Gasol. I get it. Most people, the people who try to knock Marc Gasol's defensive player of the year are very upset because LeBron should have won. LeBron's played for 20 years. If he wanted to win a defensive player of the year, he fully could have gone and won one. He's capable of doing that. They're like, he was robbed. Marc Gasol wasn't even first team. There's a problem with that logic, and I just want to bring it up. Different people were voting. So it wasn't the first time that it happened that the defensive player of the year wasn't on the first all defensive team. But the defensive player of the year has been consistent in this. He was statistically the best defensive player on the, I believe, number 1 rated defense in the league. And when you look at his numbers, so for the numbers guys, his numbers were better than LeBron. Sure, when you look eye test, I think we all agree LeBron James is probably a better defender than Marc Gasol. But statistically, right, when you can, steals and rebounds were close. Or steals and blocks, were close, whatever. Rebounds went to Gasol, defensive rating went to Gasol. Like all the advanced analytics were actually Gasol over LeBron, and he won. That's it. So my point is, and I know you disagree. I know you think LeBron should have won, and that's okay. But this argument is my point. Is it's not an argument because it was different people voting. So we can't leave out the fact that Memphis was a better defensive team, and that's who they had. They had 3 guys on the all league defensive team that year. 3 of them. That's what they do, right? They put the best defensive player on the best defensive team. All right, we're going to end the show. I'm nervous.
Yo.
Ticket's father. How are you, sir?
What's up?
I'm doing good. The first thing I want to tackle is when you guys started disrespecting Nikola Jokic. Mo brought up that he was arguably the best offensive center ever. I saw Chill say, Wilt. I don't see the argument for Wilt being a better offensive player than Nikola Jokic. Especially...
No.
Why are you laughing? Hold on. Okay,
because when you talk about offense,
you're gonna give Chill a heart attack.
Jokic. Listen, I said this morning. I think on the Raptors Rewind, a show that I do here in Toronto for the Toronto Raptors, and they asked me about Jokic. I said, look, he might be.
I don't see why people like Chill.
I'm okay with that, but he's not the best offensive center of all time.
Okay, well, like
Okay.
you go
When you
first.
factor, so if you factor in something like longevity, because obviously Jokic hasn't done it long enough, but if you factor an offensive peak, like a 3-year peak, I think it can easily be said Nikola Jokic has the best offensive peak for a center of all time. And with Wilt,
easily is part of the problem. The word easily.
Yes, because not only is Jokic giving you 27 a game on like the most efficient scoring season of all time, he's playing like the best playmaker in the NBA. The Nuggets are the best offense in the NBA when he's on the court, and they are the dead bottom last offense when he's off the court. So his offensive impact is totally there. He's still getting offensive rebounds. He can play from any side of the floor, transition, play make, in the post. He's generating buckets at the rim like no other. So I don't see like why it's crazy.
And
especially because you said easily.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tone.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. I know you feel more about this than I do.
Yeah. Especially when people say Wilt, they're just gonna bring up, oh, he averaged 40, averaged 50, averaged 40.
Forget the averaging 40, averaging 50. They changed the rules offensively.
We know he's a pioneer.
Hold on. You talk, I talk. You talk. How is this going to work? You're going to talk, or am I going to talk?
Nah, you can go. You can go.
So, like I was saying, they changed the rules for Wilt. They had to widen the lane for him. You got to stand behind the free throw line and shoot free throws because of Wilt. The ball can't hit the top of the backboard because of Wilt. All of these rules have been changed, but add all of that up to the fact that you talk about a guy being efficient. Wilt led the league in field goal percentage for 7 straight years.
And cool, because DeAndre Jordan led the league in field goal percentage for like 7 straight years too.
He wasn't averaging 35 a game. He wasn't doing that though, was he?
Okay. And if you adjust Wilt's points per game to the pace of this era, he's averaging 29 a game.
I'm
so
glad you mentioned that. Hold on.
Because you have to adjust it because they're getting way more possessions in the 60s than they do now.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So if he's averaging 29 a game, how many rebounds is he averaging?
He's gonna get like 13.
Okay, so who is 29 and 13 today?
Okay, and who is 29?
Once again, who is 29 and 13 today? That's Giannis.
You think 29 and 13?
If I'm not mistaken, that's Giannis today. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And Giannis is the best player in the game. Is that correct?
No.
I think we're done here. We're done.
Giannis is not the best player in the game. Who's the best player in the game? I want to know who's the best player in the game
when he plays.
Who's the best player in the game?
Are you Curry? Oh,
Curry.
I like you more.
I'm sure. Of course he does.
If you take Wilt out of the equation, who are you inserting there instead to still say they're better offensive?
In terms of a 5-man or an overall player?
5-man.
In terms of a 5-man, Shaq.
It's Shaq, right?
Absolutely.
I think Shaq has a better debate offensively, better than Jokic.
We can comprehend it, I think, a little bit more too. But
I mean, they like I said, they changed.
Y'all not even putting Olajuwon in the mix at all.
I was about to say Olajuwon after Shaq.
I think Hakeem can be argued, but then Jokic's playmaking is like so crazy.
Why do you keep saying playmaking? That makes me nuts when you say that. And when I say it makes me nuts because what do you constitute as playmaking? I'm listening.
Playmaking is the ability to create advantages for other teammates constantly.
Okay, and with that being said, I'm 100% confident Shaq did that. I'm 100% confident Olajuwon did that. I'm
100% confident Jokic does it double.
No, he doesn't do it double. See,
yes,
that's emotion right there. These aren't
emotion. It's literally
it's not. I'm listening to this dude.
Double because you're saying assists. You're just counting assists.
Right. And even with that being said, I mean, we're talking about
assist is not playmaking.
Assist is not only playmaking. Assist is not only playmaking. No, it is not.
It's not only playmaking. You can also playmake off the ball. That's why Curry's one of the best playmakers ever.
But see, that's another argument for another time. And I think that's the goofiest logic because I think Steph Curry benefited from him being in a different offense. Not only him being in a different offense, he also is running with another all-time great shooter. We ain't like it's not like
even when Klay Thompson wasn't playing in 2021, Stephen Curry was still playmaking for literally non-offensive weapons on his team. So that does not work. And then
he wasn't.
Gravity nonsense.
That's exactly what it is, Tone. That's exactly all it is. Nothing more than that.
Every single great player, every single great scorer in the history of the NBA, if you're going to start counting gravity, created gravity because they were double and triple teaming them throughout all 75 years. So to try to put a number on it for one guy over another, I think is ludicrous.
Nobody gets the amount of defensive pressure off the ball as Stephen Curry. So you can say
that's not true. That is not true. That is not true.
Fact? Tell me the stat.
Wait. How is it not
It's
true?
the eye test. If you look at him pull an entire offense.
that subjective eye test. Cool.
That's what I said.
So we cross half court. So we cross half court, and we see a guy. We see two guys covering. So we see two guys next to Steph Curry.
No, you don't
covering
see two,
Steph
Jay.
Curry.
You see 5.
Right.
So 5 guys are covering Curry.
Hold on.
Yes.
Let me make sure
He's
I'm
a moron
understanding.
because he should be getting 30 assists a game.
Yes,
and 5 guys are covering him.
Nuts.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So three guys are covering.
I didn't know you can get an assist when you're off the ball.
That means 2 guys are open, and I'm not going to pass it to those 2 guys that are open, who are wide open underneath the basket. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to Curry, who got 3 guys on him. This is the goofiest logic that I've ever.
You can keep yelling, but
wait. So you tell me when he doesn't have the ball, there's 5 guys on him?
Who said it? I didn't say
3 guys.
He's always going to be double teamed, sometimes triple teamed. As soon as the ball gets in his vicinity,
first of all, we're talking
about
off the ball anyway, so you can't get an assist.
So first and foremost, let's discuss this off the ball logic. So before Steph Curry started playing off the basketball, he was the traditional point guard that Mark Jackson was turning him into. So when he gets now with Steve Kerr, who changes the offense, and now it's a more free flowing, the ball is moving, people are moving, not only Steph Curry, but also Klay Thompson, who is an elite long ball shooter, is benefiting from this. And Steph Curry isn't the only one moving without the basketball. Not only is Steph Curry not the only one moving without the basketball, Klay Thompson is moving without the basketball, and he's cracking long balls just as good as Steph Curry, which means his gravity is just as good as Steph Curry's.
Okay. First of all, that's a lie. So 2021, when Klay Thompson was not playing, Steve Kerr was admitting he tried out different offensive systems, different offensive schemes almost every week. And when that was happening, Curry.
I've never heard this before. This is garbage.
You can learn to search up Steve Kerr. You can learn to search up Steve Kerr.
Oh my God! I don't need to learn to search up nothing. This stuff is garbage, man. I'm good, Tone. I am. This stuff is garbage. I swear, this is garbage, man. I swear.
I agree with you on the Steph. I don't know about Jokic.
The Detroit Pistons designed a defense to stop one guy, but Steph Curry is his off the ball logic. Steph Curry is the best offensive one. Oh my God, this is the most.
I'm so confused. So they double and triple team Steph Curry when he doesn't have the ball, but when he has the ball, they don't.
They don't, Tone. Nope, it's just him and the other guy.
Not even in the top 15.
Nobody said that.
Double teams. We have that.
Nobody said they triple. I never said they triple.
No, she did.
I said that they'll double team him even without the ball. There's always 2 guys near Steph. If you're not doing that, you're doing something wrong.
So my question is this. You're suggesting, both of you are suggesting that he is double teamed without the ball, but when he gets the ball, they stop because he's not top 15 in double team.
They don't stop.
Well, he's not top 15.
So he's still getting doubled. So he's still getting.
How is he top anything when he doesn't have the ball?
And he's still getting doubled. And he's still getting doubled.
What you're suggesting is they double him, but the second he gets the ball, they go, okay, let's go 1-on-1.
No, I don't know.
First of all, he's still getting doubled in the finals when he's playing the.
I'm using the NBA numbers. That's who I'm using.
And what are you?
Did you look at 2017 finals, 2018 finals, 2016 finals, 2015 finals?
Yes. What about it?
Did you not see that Curry got 81 double teams in the 2018 finals? Yes or no?
81 double teams.
Yes, throughout the whole series.
And how'd that go?
They got cooked. They got cooked by KD.
Yes, sir. They got cooked by. And why did they get cooked by KD? If I'm not mistaken, let me make sure I'm understanding this. So Steph Curry is getting double teamed off the basketball, and we're gonna make a decision that we're gonna go with this dude, Kevin Durant. We're going to eat his production, and we're going to basically shut down Steph Curry. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, that's literally what happened. I don't know why you're trying to overreact over facts.
Because this is nuts right here.
What are Jay? I don't understand.
Oh, yes. Eliminate the best offensive weapon on the Warriors. Yes, that literally makes sense.
How? So he was more of an offensive. He was more.
You think KD was more offensive weapon?
He's more of an offensive weapon than Steph Curry. Right. So in the process of him being more, no. I'm talking about what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let Kevin Durant. We're gonna let him go off. Curry, you're not gonna do it.
You have to. They're the greatest team of all time.
So okay. So the most double team players of all time: Shaq, Hakeem, Kareem, MJ, LeBron, Dunk.
Tell us current Fluent,
Robinson,
current in
Duncan.
the league right
That's
now.
all
Let's
time.
No.
All
We don't want to
time.
hear all time. We're talking about right now.
Yes,
And
sir.
somebody
No,
who's in
no.
the league
If the
right
argument
now.
is he's the greatest gravity guy ever, then I'm going to give you all time.
I'm not saying that. I'm not a part of that.
Well,
I don't
the
think
guy with the clown face
either.
is.
Whoa! I said Curry's the most double player of all time, on and off the ball.
7. Keep going, Tone. 7.
That's all I have is the top 7.
7.
And how many of those
7
guys
guys.
have 13 plus years in the NBA, by the way?
7
Michael Jordan did.
guys.
Shaq did.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan did.
Olajuwon played 20 years. What are you
Kareem
talking
played
about?
20.
Exactly.
All of them actually on that list. Every single one on that list.
Curry has like 11, 12 seasons on his name. How is he supposed to be on that list?
And you know what? You know what's worse than that? Don't stop there. How many of those seasons are elite seasons?
Since I'd say like since 2014, 2015.
Okay, so that's year 5. So that's year 5, which means that's less than that's almost half that he wasn't elite. All right, my man. Listen, it was great to talk to you, my man. I appreciate you. I was great to talk to you. But take it light, brother.
You're now ticket son. All right, Clark Sports. I do have one more because Clark Sports. I'm sorry, he's been waiting for a long time, so I am going to let Clark Sport come in because he has an issue with Chill.
Of course, they all do.
And then we got 2 quick super chats, and then we're out because we're running long on time. Clark, are you ready? Going once, going twice. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. So our 2 last super chats we got. Ant Boy Spice says Shaq, Wilt, Kareem. No, Shaq, Wilt, Kareem, and Hakeem would murder Joker. Joker dominate in an era of great bigs. Other than Embiid, what's his position competition? They use it against every other player all time. They say, who was his competition at his position? Good point about Jokic.
I think you also have to take into account. I'm not saying, but also athleticism too. Jokic isn't the most athletic guy. So when it comes to like other centers, like I don't know, it obviously is fundamentally he's sound.
I mean that doesn't bother me. Bird wasn't that.
I don't mind.
I know.
I don't mind that he's not athletic. But I think the amount of energy, and here's the thing that people forget. If he's having to guard Shaq, the amount of energy and bumps and bruises that he's going to take is going to take away from his offensive game because we all know
we've seen that happen. He gets so gassed.
Your boys did that. Your boys did that.
I was going to say in the playoffs this year, it's happened before.
Your boys did that.
And you just see him like because he's doing everything, and I think that's a really good point.
Your boys did that, no doubt.
He wouldn't hold up.
All right, last one. Here we go. It's been a great show, by the way. I know we went 2 hours and we're not supposed to, but oh well. There's no one else. Love Joker, but he ain't close to Wilt. No one is. And I'm a Nuggets fan who lives in Denver. And that's from Message Kenny Ivory Wayans voice. And let me give a shout out. I loved my time in Denver. When I first moved there, I moved to Inglewood, and it was a little out. It was out on a golf course. But then I moved into like Denver, into the city. Man, that was a blast. That was a lot of fun. So, shout out. Any final words on that?
I think we good.
Yeah, we're good. You guys in the chat, appreciate you all as always. So for next week, we have New Year's, so whatever you guys are doing, be safe, have a happy New Year. But for next week, next Thursday, starting off the new year, I want you guys to drop both topics, but also drop guests. It can be panelists on Player's Choice. It could be, other creators, other YouTubers, whatever, that love to talk hoops, and comment their name and let's get something going. Maybe we can start getting more guests on. I think that's always fun if you guys are down. So just comment somebody who you think would be good to bring on Fluent and Chill. Maybe it is a Mars and Dub versus Chill and Fluent. Who knows? I'd love to see it. Richard Jefferson.
Oh, actually, Richard Jefferson. So I will say, Richard Jefferson. It's more of a scheduling thing. He has agreed to come on the show. He's good friends with Chill. I kind of talk to him very, very rarely, but he has said he can come on the show. We might have to like tape it at a different time for him and then air it. But yes, that I think it's the time that has been difficult for him. We also have Trista Click from the Heat Check. She used to be on Barstool. She has said in the new year that she's going to come on. So we do have some people coming in the new year. But yeah, throw out those names. We got some people.
Skip Bayless.
I do want to, before you say goodbye, I do.
Me too, H. I'm straight.
I'm good.
What?
No,
I'm straight.
we thought Ticket was bad.
I'm straight.
No, sir.
I'm straight.
Just kidding, Ticket. Actually, we should have Ticket.
Oh, yeah, too. No, we're going to bring Ticket on. We're going to bring Ticket
Skip.
on.
No, Skip.
Yeah, Ticket, yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring Skip Bayless on, too. Why not?
Oh
I'm good. No. You talk about bias? He is biased. He is the epitome of bias. Like, for some people, it's just a character arc, I think. Like, for Low, I'd say maybe that's just a character arc. Skip Bayless, that is him. And I don't
know if I can handle Skip Toe. I'll be lying to you if I said I can.
No.
I can handle Ticket as much as I can. I don't know if I can handle. I don't know if I can handle Skip. I might be like, yo, I'm out. I can't handle it.
I might have to. Shannon Sharp is a good one too. I might have to go through some of my.
I would love to have Uncle on here. No doubt. I would love to get Uncle on here.
Of course you would.
Oh,
you and him can hug up and talk about LeBron and how wonderful he is. Get out of here, man. Let's bring out Skip. Skip's more real than Nick Wrong. Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, I was gonna shout out Shaq. I want to shout out Shaq. Our Shaq. Shaq. Because he did me a solid with my cousin who lives in Greece. So I want to shout you out. Thank you, brother.
Nice.
No doubt.
Yeah, Shaq's dope. But yeah, love you all. Appreciate you voting for us, and keep up those votes so we can stay number one. But for now, we're gonna sign off. And Jay, Fluent, any last words?
Now you're more fluent.
Take it light, but take it.